All right, blessings, blessings. Shalom to each and every one of you. Welcome, welcome. So good to have each and every one of you here. Those that are watching live right now and those that will be tuning in later on. So good to have you here tonight. We're in the Hanukkah or the Chanukah season still, and it is still definitely the Hanukkah season, and we're looking forward to another um, blessing, another opportunity to learn about our history, to learn about our heritage, and we're coming back for all of it, y'all. We're coming back for every single um, ounce, every single crevice, every single part um, of our heritage, our story that belongs to us. We want it. We coming back for it. We want the language. We want our customs. We want our days, our moedim. We want everything back that belongs to our not only our ancestors but to us in this day today. And so we look forward to um, having an opportunity to share um, the word tonight and to um, open up more on the story of Hanukkah. We're going to be continuing tonight. We're continuing, and we're continuing with the the hidden figures of Hanukkah. And so we're definitely going to explore a little bit more of what we didn't get to last week. But I guarantee tonight we will definitely hit some more aspects of Hanukkah, more hidden figures that we didn't get a chance to look at last week. All right. So, hope you guys are ready. Got your notepads. Go ahead and like and share, thumb up the video and share the live if you will. Don't forget to thumb up the video and then share this live, guys. We want everyone to have an opportunity to see. And we want to get this out in the algorithm. We want people to be able to check it out. So go ahead and thumb up the video and share the live. This is going to be on my Facebook pages, Henry Benz Jr. And also, if you haven't, go to The Bible's Voice, Underground Truth in a Opinionated World. It's going to be sharing live there. Also, go to Learning Hebrew. Learning Hebrew. We want it back. We want it back, y'all. And so it's on our Learning Hebrew page. And you know what I was thinking? Man, I should really start some Hebrew 101, basic classes, Hebrew 101, where we get into the alphabet. We get into sounds of the alphabet. We get into phonemic awareness. Well, not so much phonemic awareness yet, but because phonemic awareness is really dealing with comprehension. And we won't get into that until 102, Hebrew 102. But 101 is just going to be a breakdown of the history, the first people to speak the Hebrew language, um, and dealing with the question of, was Hebrew one of the languages that was divided at the Tower of Babel? We're going to look into all those questions in Hebrew 101. I don't know. Maybe I should start a class, y'all. I don't know. What do you think? What do you think? I know that my time is really short, and I definitely would want people to have access to the class. And I do know that it will be something worth having. Look, it's our language. It belongs to our ancestors. We want it back. We want it all back. We want to come for not just, our identity and know that we're the Israelites. No, that's not all. No, we want every single thing that has been hijacked and taken away from us. Yes, indeed. And really, really, I'm gonna be honest. If I could be honest, I wouldn't even say it was taken away. It was given away. We gave it away. I know that's hard to handle. I know that's a hard. Like, what do you mean, Pastor Benz? We gave it away. Well, if we believe we're the people, and we are, and we got to understand what we're doing in America. What are we doing in America? Okay. And so the answer to that question is that our ancestors were disobedient to the Torah, to the instructions, to the teachings. As a result, he promised that if we listened and obeyed, that we would be blessed. If we did not, then we would be cursed. And you can read about all those curses in Deuteronomy chapter 28. And as a result, this is why we didn't migrate here. We're the only people in this country that didn't migrate here. Okay, that didn't come here. They didn't wake up one day and say, I want a better life in the United States. No, that's not our history. You got to understand what our history, what motivated Europeans to take us captive. What was the issue? No, it was not just financial. We know that the love of money, yes, is the root of all kinds of evil, including chattel slavery. And Deuteronomy 28 speaks directly to that point. So we're going to go ahead and get into the lesson tonight. And please go ahead and go to our YouTube page as well. Go to our YouTube page, Congregation Rehoboth, and go ahead. Actually, sorry, it's Bible's Voice. Go to Bible's Voice and go ahead and like the video and share the live, y'all. Go ahead and thumb up the video and then share this live. Blessings. So good to see all of you here tonight. Tonight, we're going to continue with the hidden figures. As I said, I'm going to try to deal with two more hidden figures. One is the Maccabees, and the other is the menorah. All right. One is the Maccabees, and the other is the menorah. And so you're going to need your pen and pad. Can someone tell us? We this is our fourth lesson. This is our fourth lesson. Can someone tell us what were the other three M's in our lesson? Tonight, we're dealing with the hidden figures. I shouldn't say the other three M's, but we dealt with, let's see. Hold on, y'all gonna get me in trouble here because I'm saying there were three other M's. Oh, yes. There were two other M's. What were the first two M's that we dealt with? Tonight, we're going to be dealing with the menorah and the Maccabees in these hidden figures. But what were the other hidden figures? And they started with the letter M. Does anyone remember? The other two hidden figures starting with the letter M. One was the military leader. Remember, we talked about Hannibal, the military leader Hannibal. That was last week. What about the week before? Does anyone remember what we discussed the week before? All right. It's all right. I know that there was a lot, but tonight we're going to deal with two additional M's. One is the menorah, and the other is the Maccabees. All right. So we're going to go ahead and start our lesson tonight. If you can go ahead and turn with me to the book of Maccabees, chapter 1 again. We're going to start in verse 58. Matthew 1, sorry, not Matthew, but First Maccabees 50, chapter 1, verse 58. And we're going to look into the desecration and the rededication. Okay. So we're going to look at these two concepts, the desecration and the rededication. It goes from First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 59 through chapter 4, verse 54. So go ahead and write that down. That's First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 59, all the way through the 4th chapter and verse 54. Also, in the book of Maccabees, I believe, 2nd Maccabees chapter 7 gives us a little bit too. And actually, what's very interesting about 2nd Maccabees chapter 7, you could read that one, but it is dealing a lot. That's a very interesting chapter dealing with the martyrdom of the mother. The mother with her sons. That's chapter 7. That's what we're going to probably deal with on Thursday. We're going to close out. I shouldn't say close out, but we're going to definitely deal with the mother on Thursday, which is in 2nd Maccabees chapter 7. All right. So we're going to be looking at that. But tonight, let's get to the Maccabees. All right, here we go. First Maccabees chapter 1, verse 59. Let's listen. All right, here we go. Blessings.
Thus did they, by their authority, unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now, the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God. At which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. And they hanged the infants about their necks, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed in themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore, the rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died. And there was very great wrath upon Israel.
One Red Baron, fully loaded, hands on style. Hold on, partner.
That there pizza's big enough for the both of us.
Sorry about that, family.
Chapter 2. In those days arose Mattathias, the son of John, the son of Simeon, a priest of the sons of Jorib, from Jerusalem, and dwelt in Modin. And he had 5 sons, Johanan, called Caddis, Simon, called Thassi, Judas, who was called Maccabeus, Eleazar, called Avaran, and Jonathan, whose surname was Appas.
Okay, so we went over this before, but I want you guys to write down the names of these 5 sons. So I'm going to go over them one more time. But I would actually, I would write, this is what I would write. First Maccabees chapter 2. I would write that out. First Maccabees chapter 2. And then I would write Mattiyahu. Actually, let me show you on my screen here. Okay. I'll actually show you here. So you can see here at the top, number 2, Mattiyahu. That's his name, Matit Yahu. And I would write his name. And then I put 6 sons. Now, the reason why I put 6 sons is because remember we talked about when a father has grandsons, the culture, the Hebrew culture, our Israelite culture, they didn't call grandsons grandsons. They called them sons. And so I want you guys to write this name down. So not only are you going to write the 5 names, you can see them right there, but I want you to write his grandson's name, which is John Hyrcanus. Okay, so you got Jonathan or Jonathan, Shimon, Judah, Eliezer, Yohanan, and then John Hyrcanus. Okay, he's the grandson. All right, so I would write 6. I would write 6. And we're gonna, hear about some things that John, the grandson, did as well. But just know that in our culture, there was no such thing as grandsons. And even some of us today, I remember calling my grandmother mom. And when she lived with us. My mother took care of her for a while. But before she lived with us, I did call her grandmother. But when she was living in the house with us, I called her mother because she was the mother of the house. She was the mother of the house. And it's the same thing with the father. If there is a so-called grandfather, and he is still living, and if he is living in the house or not living in the house, he is referred to as the father because he is the father over everyone under him, which means his grandsons as well. All right. And so, again, that is a part of our culture that has, we call it I have a book here. Hold on.
I have a question.
What was that?
I have a question. So the names that we see in the English translation, the King James version, are the names like Elizabeth and Rachel? Are all those translations of Hebrew names? Are those Hebrew names?
Oh no, those are not Hebrew names. Well, let me say this. They are Hebrew names, but they are transliterated into English.
Okay.
So for Raquel's name, Rachel, it would be Rachel in the Hebrew, but they transliterated it into English. And then for Matthew, that is a Greek name, but his real name, or Matthias, I think it is. Matthias is a Greek name, but his Hebrew name is Matit Yahu. And so all of these names you see right here, the sons, these are, with the exception of Eliezer, Yehonan, and then you could put a Y for Jonathan or Jonathan, and then you put an H in between the S and the I, and Shimon, and then Judah. Okay, good question. Good question. And those are things we would learn in our Hebrew class. Those are things we will learn in our Hebrew class when we talk about pronunciation. Once we get into the alphabet, memorizing the alphabet, just like we know our ABCs, memorizing the alphabet. Sister Benz could actually say the Hebrew alphabet right now, if she wanted to. So I think, Rosin, did you take a couple of classes with us, the Hebrew classes with David?
No, unfortunately, I didn't.
Oh, okay. Yeah, man. I'm gonna tell you what, man. That really changed my perspective, you guys. I'm gonna say this. Let me just say this. When we trust others that don't have our best interest to translate our writings. If we don't know the language, they can tell us anything. Come on and go with me here. They could tell us anything. And so we got to know the language. We can't just claim, well, I'm the people, we the people. That's good. But if that is the case, then we got to learn that language. And that was one of the motivating factors. That was one of the things that Brother Dawid shared with me when I asked him to teach the classes at our congregation. And so, yeah, I said, man, yes, we're ready. We want our language back. We want it back. We want the culture. We want it all. Okay. Greens, beans, peas, carrots, greens, tomatoes, ham, Sam, all of it. Want it all. Leave the ham out though. Anyway, so you have the 6 sons, you have their names, they're right there. I'm gonna let this play. Here we go.
And when he saw the blasphemies that were committed in Judah and Jerusalem, he said, Woe is me! Wherefore was I born to see this misery of my people and of the holy city, and to dwell there, when it was delivered into the hand of the enemy, and the sanctuary into the hand of strangers.
Let me just stop right here. Matityahu, when he saw the destruction of his city, when he saw the misery in the eyes of his people, in his holy city, that brother got mad. He got mad. Now, I'm going to say this. There's something wrong with Israelites when we can see everything that's going on in our time today and nothing makes us mad. We think that we have to be so holy. Some of us think we got to be so holy that nothing makes us mad. Hold up. Doesn't it make you mad that our young boys between the ages of 13 and 17 are committing suicide? Does that make you mad? Doesn't it make you mad that our girls, our babies, 13 to 17 are on the corners of streets selling their bodies? Doesn't that make you mad? Doesn't it make you even madder that you have men, our brothers, between the ages of 30 and 70 who are buying sex from our young girls? Does that make you mad? Does it make you mad that when we send our children to school, they're being suspended twice as much as other students? Does that make you mad? Doesn't it make you mad to see that our boys and girls who go to these public schools, our children, that they are the lowest when it comes to reading comprehension and mathematics skills? Something ought to make you mad that we rise up and do something. Not just right. And that's why I'm so glad that, we're here tonight, because we got some trailblazers here at Congregation Rehoboth. We have some people that have started schools, that have started a school. They started a school before because they saw what I'm describing. Then we have other people that have started homeless ministries and are actively doing something about it. But where is everybody else? Where is everyone else locking arms and saying, let's stand together and be angry together and do something about it? And that's exactly what Matityahu felt. As we continue.
Her temple is become as a man without glory. Her glorious vessels are carried away into captivity. Her infants are slain in the streets, her young men with the sword of the enemy. What nation hath not had a part in her kingdom and gotten of her spoils? All her ornaments are taken away. Of a free woman she is become a bondslave. And behold, our sanctuary, even our beauty and our glory is laid waste, and the Gentiles have profaned it. To what end, therefore, shall we live any longer? Then Mattathias and his sons rent their clothes, and put on sackcloth, and mourned very sore. In the meanwhile, the king's officers, such as compelled the people to revolt, came into the city of Modin to make them sacrifice. And when many of Israel came unto them, Mattathias also and his sons came together.
So, guys, just for the record, when I say Matit Yahu, we're referring to Mattathias. That is his Greek. That is a Greek name, but his real Hebrew name is Matit Yahu.
Then answered the king's officers and said to Mattathias on this wise, Thou art a ruler and an honorable and great man in this city, and strengthened with sons and brethren. Now therefore come thou first and fulfill the king's commandment, like as all the heathen have done, yea, and the men of Judah also, and such as remain at Jerusalem. So shalt thou and thy house be in the number of the king's friends, and thou and thy children shall be honored with silver and gold, and many rewards. Then Mattathias answered and spake with a loud voice, Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the law and the ordinances. We will not.
All right. So the first thing I want you guys to know and write down about the father and his sons. Can you guys see what I'm writing here? Hold on, let me share. They were committed to Torah. Can someone tell us, what does Torah mean? What is Torah? Don't tell us what the Torah is. Tell us what Torah means. Can someone tell us the definition of Torah? We know that the Torah is what, family? What is the Torah?
Instructions.
It's this.
All right, so that's the definition. So the Torah means instructions or
law,
teachings. Okay, so write this down. The Torah is the what?
Law.
It's the law. It's the first.
It's the first 5 books of the Bible.
Yes, it's the first 5. Okay, and then I want you guys to start saying this. Start saying of the Tanakh, because we want to make a distinction between and highlight. When we say the Tanakh, that lets people know that we're not practicing Christianity or Catholicism. Let me say this: Catholicism and Christianity are synonyms. They're synonyms. Now, I know there are a lot of Christians who say, I'm not Catholic. Oh, yes, you are. Because your founder, your leader, which is not Yeshua, the founder of Christianity, Yeshua didn't found Christianity. He didn't bring Christianity into, no. The founder of Christianity, his name is Martin Luther, and not Martin Luther the King. But we're talking about Martin Luther, who lived in the 16th century. And he only disagreed with the Catholics on 95 different teachings, y'all. He only disagreed with them on 95 different teachings. But all the rest, he kept. And now he says, we're going to name this so-called new faith Christianity, or we're going to label ourselves as Protestants because we protested against the Catholic Church, but they only protested against 95 different teachings. All the rest, they kept.
How
So
many teachings were there total?
I'm not sure, but there's hundreds of teachings. You got, if you start from the book of Genesis and go to the book of Revelation, you have hundreds, thousands of different teachings. You only disagree with 95. Look up Martin Luther and his 95 theses. He will tell you the ones that he disagreed with. So watch this. Some of the ones they kept: celebrating Christmas, celebrating Easter. Oh, yes. Celebrating communion. Why is it in the scripture that the word Pesach is replaced by communion? Want me to show you guys? Okay. I believe it's in the book.
What was the question?
Why is the Hebrew word Pesach replaced with Easter? I should say, sorry, replaced with Easter. And we know, what is Pesach?
Passover.
Oh, yes. I'm trying to find it, but you know that I get off on so many tangents. But I believe it is in. Yep. Is it Acts 12? Yeah, Acts 12:4. Let me show you guys this, because there are people that say, no, we're Christian, we're different. No, you're not. You think you are, but you didn't even know that there were 95 theses that Martin Luther nailed on the wall to disagree. Look at this word right here, guys. Look at Acts chapter 12, verse 4. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quarters or quarterings of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. Now let me show you that word in the Greek, and then I'm going to show you that word in the Hebrew. Here's the word in Pascha. Okay, let me show you. I'll make a believer out of some of you who don't think that you are Catholic, but you are. Now watch this. Pascha, the Paschal sacrifice, which was accustomed to be offered for the people's deliverance of old from Egypt. The Paschal lamb is the lamb the Israelites were accustomed to slay and to eat. We know that from Exodus chapter 12. Okay. Now watch this. Let's go to the origin. Oh, here we are in the Hebrew. Peace, ha, or Pesach. Okay. Listen in. This is Pesach.
Strong's H, 6453. Pesach.
That's not a good pronunciation. All right. So we can see here, family, that the English replaces the word Pesach with the word Easter. Where does Easter come from? Catholicism. Okay. So we got to understand that these kinds of teachings do not come from Scripture. That's why we don't celebrate Christianity, and this is why I would like you guys to start using Tanakh. Tanakh. Okay. Excuse me. And I do have a book. Oh man, I always say I have a book and then I wait, is this it? Hold on. Hold on. Is this it? Nope. Oh, yep, there it is. This book right here is a little one, but it's very powerful. The History of the First Council of Nicaea, better known as the Nicene Creed. Okay. The history of the First Council of Nicaea. And you know who the ruler was during that time? Constantine. All right. So I could go to a couple pages here to really show and prove. Let's see. I want to go right to the source and show and prove my point. If you give me a second, I know I'm way off, y'all. I don't just want to make claims though either. And this is why I'm taking the time to do this. Give me a second. I'm gonna come back to it. I hate doing this, but I'm gonna come back to it because I can't. This came off the. Let me. Yeah, I'm gonna have to get back to this. But how? Where did we get Easter from? How did Easter come into this understanding? And so we're going to look at it. We're going to look at it. We're going to look at it. And yeah. I'm gonna prove my point, guys. You know, I don't mess around with just making claims. But I do like to show and prove. Okay. And that is definitely what we're gonna do. Yeah. All right. So we're gonna come back to it. We're gonna come back. All right. Let's go back to our video here and keep going. And I did want to make mention that the husband, Matit Yahu, and his sons, they were committed to Torah. They were committed to the instructions. All right. And I want to bring one more scripture, guys, because I think this is super important. And it's found in Deuteronomy chapter 5, which is related to, and I believe it's in, is it verse 31? Oh, yes. Now, the reason why I'm bringing this out is because we talked about teachings. And I'm going to make a case here that I hope you guys will be open to. Or go research on your own. That's really what I'm hoping would happen. So Deuteronomy chapter 5, verse 31. Okay. It says here, but as for thee, well, let's go to verse, let's see. Oh, let's go to 31. But as for thee, stand thou here by me, and I will speak unto thee all the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments, which thou shalt teach them. Look at that, guys. I want you to hear this. I want you to hear this detail. Watch this detail. This detail is very interesting. He says, but as for thee, Moses, he's speaking to Moses, stand thou here by me. So Yah is speaking to Moses, and he's telling him to stand by him. And then Yah says, and I will speak unto thee all the commandments. Now, let me ask you guys something. How long was Moses on the mountain receiving the commandments? How long was he there?
Was it 40 days?
40 days and 40 nights. Absolutely. Now, do you really think it took one day? How many commandments are there? How many commandments are there?
10.
Are there 10?
There's 10 chapters.
There are a lot of laws, right? Laws and commandments are the same.
So what are laws? See, now we're getting into it. Getting into
So
it
do you
now.
mean laws and commandments?
Well, let's go back
you're
to
meaning that, it's like
600.
they're like 613 or something like that.
There you go. There you go. Okay, now watch this though. We got to be very careful now. This scripture says he spoke to Moses. He says, I will speak unto thee all the commandments. So let's go ahead and look this word up. Let's look this word up, commandments, because we got to know what we're saying here. Look at this. Ha meets va. Okay, ha meets va. Okay. Commandment, code of wisdom. Okay, those are instructions. A command, whether human or divine, we know that he was speaking of divine commands. Collectively, the law, which was commanded, or commandment, law, ordinance, or precept. Now watch this. It doesn't say anything in this verse. Let's look at this verse because I want to show you something. You don't see the word Torah in this verse, do you? Okay, watch this. You don't see the word Torah. I want to show you. You will not see. Goodness, I know I get off on a tangent. You will not see the word Torah. I'm going to go all the way down. Mishpat, Lamad. Then he says, thou shalt teach them. So watch this, guys. The commandment, thou shalt not kill. How did Moses teach that commandment to them? What are all the instructions on thou shalt not kill? Where are they found at? Because we don't read in scripture about Moses teaching them. Can someone point out a verse in the passages where Moses is actually teaching on thou shalt not kill? Or did he just command them not to do it? want you to think about that. He says, teach them all the commandments. Okay? He gave them the commandments, but he didn't teach them. We don't read anywhere about Moses teaching them. Can anyone find a verse where Moses is teaching on any of the commandments, giving the instructions on what you should and should not do? Keep that question in mind, because I got something for you about that. I'm going to write something down here. You guys see that question? Is oral tradition important? Can someone name part of our oral tradition? Because we're going to be looking at a document tonight when we talk about the rededication, when we talk about the menorah. Can someone name one aspect or one part of our oral tradition in our Hebrew culture? I'm going to write it down. You see that? How about that one? How about this?
Are you writing something?
Yep. Can you guys see it on the screen there?
You see the languages here.
Oh, I'm not. Hold on. Let me
No, we cannot see it.
Okay, I see.
How about now?
Yes.
So I asked the question, is oral tradition important? And these are 3 major examples of our oral tradition. And now we got to figure out. See.
But the Talmud, that's Talmud. That's
What have you got? Okay, we're going to get into it because we've heard things about the Talmud, right?
Yes.
We've heard things about the Mishnah and the Midrash. But what have we heard about? We don't have time tonight, but everything we've heard is negative, right? Where is that coming from? Where is it? Who told us that? Have they studied the Talmud? Have they studied? And then watch this. Not just studied it, but looked at it in the Hebrew. Remember I said earlier, we cannot allow others to tell us what our teachings and what our oral tradition means. Can't do that. Now remember, this was oral at first, and then it was written down. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to do a whole study on the importance of oral tradition.
Exodus 21, 12 through 14.
Exodus 21. (12 through 14). Okay, let's go there real quick. Exodus 21. You said 12 through 14?
Yes.
All right. He that smiteth a man so that he die shall surely put to death, shall be surely put to death. And if a man lie not in wait, but God deliver him into his hand, then I will appoint thee a place whither he shall flee. But if a man come presumptuously,
Go to 15.
Upon his neighbor to slay him with guile, thou shalt take him from mine altar that he may die. Verse 15. And he that smiteth his father or mother shall be surely be put to death. Now, awesome. Those are excellent examples. But are they examples of commandments, which are part of the 613, or is it Moses teaching the children of Israel?
Well, he's teaching them that they shouldn't be killing nobody because there's consequences.
Do you think that they could be a part of the 613 commandments on thou shalt not murder?
I don't know. Maybe.
We're going to look into it. We're going to look into it because we know that thou shalt not kill. That's only one, but there's 613. And so there's a book. Hold on. There is a book called, oh my gosh. There's a book though called, I just looked it up today. It's in my Amazon cart. I don't know if y'all will be able to see this. Hold on. I'm going to send this book. First of all, I'm going to show you right here. It's called The Concise Sefer HaChanukah. The Concise Sefer HaChanukah. Okay? This book tells us, listen, as Jews, our primary obligation in life is to fulfill the will of the Creator as expressed in the Torah, and specifically by way of the Taryag, or 613 mitzvot. It is therefore essential to know what these mitzvot are, and what they mean. All right. Adapted from a classical Sefer HaChanukah, here is an ideal way for everyone and anyone to become readily familiar with all 613 mitzvot at a glance. This convenient guide briefly discusses each mitzvah, both positive and negative, as it appears in the sequence of the weekly parsha. Oh, that's going to be interesting. Provides the source for each mitzvah, along with a concise explanation, and concludes with key lessons to be derived from that mitzvah. So this is a book that I really want, and it's $29. Okay, I'm going to put this in, hold on. I'm going to send this to, give me a second, so everybody can see it for themselves. Yeah. All right. That's an excellent example, but my question would be, are those part of the 613 mitzvot, or are they teachings on the mitzvot? Okay. All right. So let's get back to this lesson, because I really want to dive in. But this oral tradition, guys, super important. Talmud, Mishnah, Midrash. We're going to be looking at these three different sources to find out. As a matter of fact, I also have one tonight that I'm going to be looking at as well. It's part of oral tradition that was written down. All right, here we go.
Hearken to the king's words to go from our religion, either on the right hand or the left. Now, when he had left speaking these words, there came one of the Jews in the sight of all to sacrifice on the altar which was at Modin, according to the king's commandment. Which thing, when Mattathias saw, he was inflamed with zeal, and his reins trembled, neither could he forbear to show his anger according to judgment. Wherefore he ran and slew him upon the altar. Also the king's commissioner, who compelled men to sacrifice, he killed at that time, and the altar he pulled down. Thus dealt he zealously for the law of God, like as Phinehas did unto Zambri, the son of Salom. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, Whosoever is zealous of the law, and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me. So he and his sons fled into the mountains, and left all that ever they had in the city. Then many that sought after justice and judgment went down into the wilderness to dwell there, both they and their children and their wives and their cattle, because afflictions increased sore upon them. Now when it was told the king's servants and the host that was at Jerusalem in the city of David, that certain men who had broken the king's commandment were gone down into the secret places in the wilderness, they pursued after them with a great number, and having overtaken them, they camped against them, and made war against them on the Sabbath day. And they said unto them, Let that which ye have done hitherto suffice. Come forth, and do according to the commandment of the king, and ye shall live. But they said, We will not come forth, neither will we do the king's commandment to profane the Sabbath day. So then they gave them the battle with all speed.
All right. They gave them the battle with all speed. I like that. I like how they put that. I like it. Now, I want to read something to you guys. And I want to share this because this is, hold on real quick. Because I want to start this. So I'm going to start right here. Now, what I'm going to do, family, is I'm going to send this to the thread. And if you give me a second here, I'm going to send this to you guys so you can have your own copy. What we have here is called the Megillah Antiochus. Okay. I think, hold on, am I saying it right? Hold on.
Were you writing something for us to see, or
Say it one more time.
were you writing something for us to see?
No, I was,
Oh, okay.
I just sent a copy to the thread, and then I'm sharing my screen right now so you can see what I'm about to read. The Megillah
Okay.
Antiochus. Okay. And so we want to look at this document here. And if you can look at this line right here, it says this English rendering translates the addition of the Aramaic text. Okay. So Aramaic is a very important language, one of our languages that we had to learn in Babylon. Okay. And so let me just start really quick. And I'm going to start here. So this is at the bottom of page 1. The bottom of page 1. So you see the title page there. And we're going to start right here. Can everyone see this? Is my screen? Let me make the screen large. Can everybody see that good enough? That's as large as I can make it without it going off the screen.
Yes.
All right, here we go. It came to pass during the time of Antiochus, king of Greece. He was a mighty and powerful ruler, and his governance was strong, and all kings were obedient to him. He subdued many provinces and imprisoned powerful rulers, destroyed their citadels, set their palaces ablaze in fire, and imprisoned their warriors. He constructed a large city on a shore of the sea to serve as his royal residence, and he named it Antiochus. Okay. After his own name. His second in command, Bargras, also built for himself another city opposite it. And he named the city, or he named it, City of Bagras. These are the names even now. And what would be interesting is to look up a map to see if those names still are there to this day. Right? In the 23rd year of his reign, it being the 230th year after the reconstruction of the temple of God, he set his face to go up to Jerusalem. He spoke up and said to his companions, "Are you not aware that there are people among us, the Judeans who are in Yahud, who do not worship our gods or observe our law? They abandon the laws of the king in order to observe their own laws. They also long for the day when the rulers and authorities are shattered, and they say, 'When will our own king rule over us? We will gain authority over both sea and land, and the entire world will be delivered into our power. The majesty of the kingdom cannot permit these people to remain on the surface of the earth. Now come and let us go up against them, and we will abolish from among them the covenant which was decreed on them for observing," watch this, "for observing Shabbat, new moon, and circumcisions." You see that? Now, let me say this, y'all. One of the things that has plagued our people, and one of the reasons why we don't have unity, is because this Hasatan, come on and go with me here. This enemy knows what will break us and keep us apart. Not only have we been desecrated physically, but we've been attacked and desecrated spiritually as well. And they know, the enemy knows, that if he can break us spiritually, look at what they attack: our Sabbaths, our new moons, and circumcision. All of these things. Now, somebody may say, well, circumcision is not spiritual, it's physical. No, we know that circumcision was always a matter of the heart. We already know that. That goes back to, I believe it's in Deuteronomy chapter, I believe it's 4. Is it 4? I can't, let me see. I know we can go to Romans 2, where Paul talks about it, but I know that is, I believe it's in Deuteronomy, where it talks about circumcision is a matter of the heart. Yes, Deuteronomy chapter 10, chapter 10, verse 16. God tells us to circumcise the foreskin of our heart and be stiff-necked no longer. Okay. Here he commands us, as we should be obedient, to circumcise the foreskin, but what we're really doing is when we do that, we're circumcising our heart. Okay. So here in this document, what we're reading is that the enemy attacked them spiritually as well. Next paragraph, as we continue. The proposal was pleasing in the eyes of his nobles and in the eyes of all his forces. Antiochus arose at once and dispatched Nicanor, his second in command, with a large army and numerous people, and he came to Jerusalem. There he killed many. Here's the physical attack. And he erected a statue in the temple. Here's the spiritual. Notice how the physical and the spiritual, they're a two-pronged attack. On the spot where the God of Israel had told his servants, the prophets, There I will cause my Shekinah to dwell forever. You see that spiritual attack? He attacked the area that God said my Shekinah will be forever. See, this is what we got to look in our life. In this Hanukkah season, y'all, what we have to be aware of is there will be a spiritual attack in the area, watch this, where the area that Yah promised his presence to be in your life. Can I tell you where that place is? It's in your home. It's in your home. The temple, watch this, was the place for Israel in the land of Israel where Yah promised his presence. But because there's no temple and because we're not in Israel, we know that Paul tells us this, that we are the temple of the Ruach Kodesh. And so where is the enemy going to attack us the strongest? In our homes and with our families. That's the spiritual attack. Watch what he says here. On the spot where God told Israel, his servants, I will cause my Shekinah to dwell forever, they slaughtered a pig. Here it is. They slaughtered a pig at that time and brought some of its blood into the holy courts. Look at that. Look at that spiritual attack. Now, when Yohanan bar Metayah, remember who Metayah is? Matat Yah. That's Metayahu. And Yohanan was one of his sons. Now, remember, this is in Aramaic. And instead of saying Ben, they say bar. Okay. I took 2 years of Aramaic at Cal State Long Beach with my professor. And it was amazing learning the Aramaic. Uses the same Hebrew script. Now, when Yohanan bar Metayahu heard about these things, he was filled with anger and wrath. The form of his face changed, and he took counsel in his heart about what to do about this. Then Yohanan bar Metayahu fashioned a sword for himself, 2 spans in length and 1 span in breadth. Man, that's a big sword. And he, watch this, and he wrapped it under his clothing. He came to Jerusalem and stood at the gate of the city. He addressed the gatekeepers and guards, saying, I am Yohanan bar Metayahu, priest of Yehud. I have come to enter before Nicanor. He says, I'm coming to get this guy. Thereupon the gatekeepers and guards entered and said to Nicanor, the high priest of Yehud is standing at the gate. Look at this, guys. The high priest, the one who's supposed to be holy and righteous, right? And scared. If you're scared, go to the temple, right? He comes with a sword looking for Nicanor. You don't think priests are real? You think priests are just a bunch of wimps and that we just will lay down? Oh no. Oh no. There's always another side. Watch this. Nicanor answered and said, let him immediately enter. Then Yohanan was made to enter before Nicanor. Nicanor spoke up and said to Yohanan, are you one of the rebels who have revolted against the king and who do not seek the welfare of his kingdom? Yohanan answered Nicanor and said, I have now come before you in order to perform whatever you seek to do. He said, bring it. He said, you don't want this smoke. Bring it, bring it, bring it. Nicanor spoke up and said to Yohanan, lo, you seek my favor? Take a pig and sacrifice it to this statue. Do so, and I will clothe you with a royal garment. I will mount you on one of the king's horses. Watch this. and you will become like one of the friends of the king. Look at that, y'all. You see that? You know what he basically said, right? He said, Nicanor, listen, if you will sell out for me and for the king, if you will sell out your God for position, for power and prestige and a payday, come on and go with me here. All you got to do is sacrifice this pig, sacrifice this animal. Take this pig and sacrifice it to the God that we serve. Now, how many of us Israelites have sold out? Somebody can make the argument that we all sell out to a certain degree, but how many Israelites have really sold out? I mean, literally turned their back on Yah and have done abominable things despite of their knowledge of the truth. You know what I think about, y'all? And I hate to say this, but I think about entertainers who take roles in movies that completely disgrace serving Yah. And then when they win their award and they're given that money, that payday, that power, that prestige, the first thing they do is what? First, I want to thank God for this opportunity. Our entertainers, our actors, our musicians, they sing songs that glorify not Yah. The first thing they do when they win their award, when they get that payday, that prestige and that power, you see the tactic? Let's keep going. Thus did Johanan make answer to him and say, my Lord, I am afraid of the children of Israel. Should they hear about what I have done, they will stone me with stones. Let every person now leave from before you, lest they inform the house of Israel. Then the Nicanor made everyone leave from before him. At that time, Yohanan bar Metityahu raised his eyes toward heaven and offered his prayer before the master of the universe. He said, my God and God of my ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and Israel. Notice he didn't say Ishmael. Come on and go with me here. Abraham, Isaac, not Ishmael, and Jacob, not Esau. And thus he continued to say, do not hand me over into the power of this uncircumcised one, lest he put me to death and then go and offer praise in the temple of Dagon, his idol, saying, my idol has delivered him into my power. He immediately took 3 steps toward him and thrust his sword into his heart. He then threw his corpse into the holy court. Johanan spoke up before the God of heaven and said, my Lord, do not place grievous sin upon me because I killed him in your temple. Wow. Woo! May you not hand over to me all the peoples who are in Jerusalem who have come to lead astray the children of Israel. Look at these boys. You see these boys? Then Johanan went out on that same day and he waged war against those nations, and he effected among them a great slaughter. Then, watch this, then people who escaped from the sword fled on a ship to King Antiochus. The number of the slain who were killed on that day was 72, almost 73,000. For each one was killing his companion. Wow. At his residence, he built a minaret and proclaimed it name to be Maccabees, killer of strong ones. Can someone tell me what this name looks like? Maccabees.
Maccabees.
Come on. Incidentally, the word Maccabee in the Greek, as I add this, the word Maccabee in the Greek, according to, let me show you guys this because I always like to, y'all know me. Y'all know how I do. Let me show you this. What do you gather from that sentence? What do you gather the word Maccabee means? What are some context clues that gives you an idea of what Maccabee means from that sentence or that little passage we just read? What are some context clues that tell you what Maccabees or Maccabee means?
Killer of strong ones.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. You see that? Okay. So here's another reference to the Maccabee, the title Maccabee. According to the Revel Bible Dictionary, I have the Revel Dictionary somewhere around here. I don't know where it's at. I don't know. I know where it's at. It's not in here. But according to the Revel Bible Dictionary, page 657, the title Maccabees is a title of honor, which means hammer or exterminator. You see that, guys? That's the Greek interpretation. Hammer or exterminator. This title was given to the Hasmonean family or the Maccabean family, led by Mattiyahu and his 5 sons. The rise to power by Mattiyahu and his 5th son, Shimon, to reintroduce the Israelites back to the Torah or the teachings. He was succeeded by his son. Notice he called him his son, but remember we said it was his grandson, John Hyrcanus, who was a high priest that followed Torah. He was a military commander and the leader of Judah. You see that, family? Okay. According to the Revel Bible Dictionary. Okay. As we continue. Hold on. Here we go. All right. Now, when King Antiochus heard that his second in command, Nicanor, had been assassinated, he was greatly distressed. He sent for a summoned to the wicked Bagras, the deceiver of his people. King Antiochus spoke up and said, Bagras, do you not know and have you not heard what the children of Israel have done to me? They have slaughtered my armies and, watch this, despoiled my camp and my nobles. Can you now put confidence in your possessions or your dwellings? Come now and let us go up again against them, and we will abolish from among them the covenant. See, they said, we know how to take care. We know how to really strip their power away from them. Go after them spiritually, which was decreed for the, watch this. Look at this. Look at what he knows about the children of Israel. The covenant, which was decreed for them with regard to the Sabbath, new moon, and circumcision. In other words, if you can get them to stop doing what the covenant says, which is the instructions, the Torah, if you can get them to stop doing that, they're going to be weak. They're going to be divided. and we can take them then. Then the wicked Bagras arose along with all his camps and came to Jerusalem. He effected their a great slaughter and issued in it a final decree about not observing the rituals of Sabbath, new moon, and circumcision. On account of this, anyone who boldly flaunted the word of the king, anyone who circumcised his son, both the man and his wife, would be brought and impaled because of the child, because they circumcised their child. There was even a woman who gave birth to a son after the death of her husband. She circumcised him on the 8th day after birth, and then she climbed onto the wall of the city holding her son whom she had circumcised. She cried out and said, "Go, inform the wicked." Look at this woman. Go tell them. Go tell these wicked people, wicked Bagras, that the covenant of our ancestors will never cease being observed among us, or our descendants. Look at this, guys. This is why we gotta start giving respect to women who are like this woman, who are Israelites, who are committed. So much so that she says, go tell Bagras, this wicked fool. Go tell him what I did. Yeah, I did it. What is he going to do about it? I'm committed. Listen, she said, I would rather live on my feet. Or no, die on my feet. Sorry, I would rather die on my feet than live on my knees. My goodness, look at these women. This was indeed a virtuous woman. She then cast her son. Watch this. Hold on, let me go back. Go tell the wicked Bagras that the covenant of our ancestors will never cease being observed among us or our ancestors. Now watch this. She then cast her son down to the base, watch this, of the wall, and she flung herself after him so that the two of them perish. What does that remind you of, guys? What does that remind you of? That act that she did by casting her son to the base of the wall, and then she threw herself over and the two of them perished. What does that remind you of?
It reminds me of Isaac and Abraham.
Okay.
Well, kind of sort of. Yeah.
Now, Isaac, there was a ram in the bush for Isaac, but that kind of does remind you because she was willing to sacrifice and she actually went through it. So yes, but let me be more specific with my question. What does this remind you of in history? Our history. Somebody in the chat, what do you think? What does it remind you of?
People jumping off the ship rather than going to slavery.
Come on and go with me here. Come on and go with me. Do you know that on the Middle Passage, our ancestors did the exact same thing that this woman did under Antiochus? She said, I would rather die and not have my child experience this kind of life as opposed to living in fear and under a dictator that is so wicked. As we continue, numerous others from among the children of Israel were acting similarly and would not change their ancestral covenant. At that time, some of the children of Israel said, each to his companion, come, let us go away and observe the Sabbath. Look at this. In a cave, lest we profane the Sabbath day. Informants malign them before Bagras. You see that? There's always a few snitches. There's always some snitches around. Some weak, jelly back, and I bet they were men. I bet they were men, male Israelites, sucker punks. I bet they went and curry favor and wanted that power. They wanted that prestige and that payday. And they said, you know what? Does it remind you of informants, agents for the government? Oh, come on and go with COINTELPRO. Can somebody say COINTELPRO? Mm-hmm. He thereupon dispatched some men, and they came to the mouth of the cave and said, "O children of Israel, come out to us, eat some of our food, drink some of our wine, and behave like us." Goodness. The children of Israel answered and said, each one to his fellow, "We remember what we were enjoined on Mount Sinai. 6 days you will work." Look at the word was in them. "And on the 7th day you will rest. Now it would be better for us to perish rather than to profane the Sabbath day." Since they were not receptive to them, they brought green branches of wood and kindled a fire at the mouth of the cave, and about 1,000 men and women perished as a result. Hold on, guys, because I want to get to this part down here. Okay, I'm almost there. Bear with me. Following this, 5 sons, Metayahu arose, Yohanan and his 4 brothers, and they engaged these nations in battle. They effected a great slaughter among them, and those who remained fled to the island of the sea, for they now put their trust in the God of heaven. Then the wicked Bagras took seat on a ship, and he fled to the king Antiochus together with the men who had escaped from the sword. Bagras spoke up and said to the king Antiochus, "O king, you gave a command to abolish the observance of Sabbath, new moons, and circumcision from Yehud." That's actually Judah. And there is now a fierce rebellion there, even in every nation. People and language group were to come against them. They could not prevail over the 5 sons of Matityahu, for they are mightier than lions. Lion of Judah, look at that. Swifter than eagles, and bolder than bears. Now, O king, may my counsel please you. Do not wage war on them. Look, hallelujah. If my people who are called by my name, if they would humble themselves, pray, seek my face, turn from their wicked ways, then I will heal the land. Family, the way that we will heal, the way that this land will be healed. Now, we got to say this land here in America is not Yah's land. I mean, the whole planet is his, but this is not the promised land. But if we, listen, you know what's going to heal the land that Yah promised? You know what's going to bring us back into that land? It's not marching for civil rights. Come on and go with me here. It's not sit-ins. It's not marching together down the streets of major cities. It's not changing laws. They saw a unity commitment to the covenant. And that's what this family brings to the Chanukah table, these hidden figures of Chanukah, this woman and her sons, this family led by Metayahu and his sons. Watch this. Now, O king, may my counsel please you. Do not wage war on these, on them with these camp, lest you suffer embarrassment before all other kings. Instead, send a letter throughout every province of your kingdom and to the nobles of the armies. Will come bringing with them all nations and all, here it is, and also elephants. We talked about that last week, where he got that idea from, that notion of bringing elephants from Hannibal Barcas. Also elephants covered with armor. Now the proposal was pleasing in the eyes of King Antiochus. He sent for and summoned the nobles of his kingdom, and all the nations came accompanied by elephants covered with armor. Next, the wicked Bagras arose and came to Jerusalem. He broke open 13 breaches in its wall and closed off the water supply of the city, and applied fire to its stones until they crumbled like dust. He thought to himself, saying, this time they will not defeat me. He was thinking about that 72,000 of his men that he trained, that he worked with, that he went to war with in previous battles. He thought about them and he said, no, never again. When the 5 sons of Matityahu heard, they arose and came to Mizpah of Gilead, in the place which was a refuge for them in the days of the prophet Samuel. Look at this. In the face of opposition, y'all, we can't lay down. We got to get up. You got to get up. I don't care what you're facing. Don't go into the doldrums. Don't have a pity party. You got to get up in the face of opposition, because, watch this, the battle that Yah is bringing to your doorstep, watch this, is going to reveal in us the power to bring glory to Yah. That's powerful. Come on. The battle that he's bringing to your doorstep, do not lay down and have a pity party. That is a cue for you to get up, because Yah is going to get a greater glory from what he's bringing to your doorstep. But you got to get up. You got to get up. It says, they arose and came to Mizpah of Gilead, in the place which is the refuge for them in the days of the prophet Samuel. They decreed a fast and sat upon ashes in order to seek favor from the God of heaven. Then a good counsel entered their minds. Look at that. They got up, they fasted, they showed humility by sitting in ashes, sackcloth and ashes. And then it says this, and they did it not to get attention, but to seek glory or favor from God, the God of heaven, the Most High. It says, then when they did that, good counsel entered their minds. Oh my goodness. He just gave us the recipe. Good thoughts, wisdom, the know-how, the know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it through the Ruach Kodesh. Their names were Judah, the firstborn, Shimon, the second oldest, Yohanan, the third, Jonathan, the fourth, and Eleazar, the fifth. Their father blessed them before he sent them forth to do battle and said, Judah, my son, I give thanks that your action is like that of Judah, be Jacob. Watch this, who was compared to a lion. Shimon, my son, I give thanks that your action is like Shimon, be Jacob, who killed the inhabitants of Shechem because they committed offense against his sister Dinah. Y'all remember that? Look at what he's saying here. He's comparing his sons to the patriarchs that came before him, to his ancestors. Family, that's what we have to do with our children. We got to start comparing them to some of the patriarchs that came before us. Are your children like David, who slew Goliath? Are your children like Paul? Are your children like Peter? Are your children like Netanyahu? Are your children like Phineas? Who are they like? Watch this. Yohanan, my son, I give thanks that your action is like that of Abner. And this B is Ben or Ner, the general of Israel. Abner, Jonathan, my son, I give thanks that your action is like that of Pinhas or Phinehas, Ben or Bar Eleazar, who was, or the son of Eleazar, was zealous for his God and rescued the children of Israel from divine wrath. After this, the 5 sons of Matityahu arose that day, and after receiving the good counsel from their dad, the blessing from their father, they waged war against those nations. They effected a very heavy slaughter among them, but among themselves, Judah was slain. Oh my goodness. At that time, when the sons of Matityahu saw that Judah had been slain, they turned back and they came to their father. But he said to them, why have you returned? They spoke up and said, our brother Judah, he who himself could be accounted equal to the rest of us, has been killed, has been slain. Matityahu spoke up and said to them, I myself will go forth with you and wage war against these nations, lest the children of Israel perish while you are grieving for your brother. Look at this father. Where are the fathers like this? Where are the men who will marry women and have children and become fathers? Where are they? Where are they? And notice he says there's nothing wrong with grieving. He validated their grieving, but he says, let's go. Let's go. Matityahu came forth and that same day with his sons and waged war against those nations. The God of heaven handed over into their control all the soldiers of all the soldiers of those nations, and they effected among them a heavy slaughter, and all who watch this unsheathed a sword, held a bow, and the noblest of their commanding officers, and there did not survive a refugee from their ranks. The ones who did escape fled to the islands of the sea. Now Eleazar occupied himself with killing the elephants. My goodness. And he sunk down in the excrement of an elephant. Oh my goodness. His brothers searched. He said while he was trying to kill the elephant, he sunk in the excrement of an elephant. And then his brothers were searching for him among the living and among the dead, but they could not find him. Where was he at? He was knee deep. He was chin deep, head deep. And they, however, afterwards discovered him pressed down in the excrement of an elephant. Listen, y'all, you better not stand up under an elephant. The children of Israel rejoiced that their enemy had been delivered into their hands. They burned some of them in fire. My goodness. Whereas others they hung upon trees. The people of the house of Israel burned the wicked Bagras, deceiver of the people, in a fire. When King Antiochus heard that his second in command, Bagras, had been killed along with all his nobles who had accompanied him, he boarded. I'm almost done, family. One more paragraph. He boarded a ship and he fled. Look at Antiochus running to the island of the seas. Every place that he came to rebelled against him, said to him, fugitive, fugitive. He finally cast himself into the sea, y'all. He committed suicide. He came to these places and they called him a fugitive. He said, there's no place for you here, Antiochus. And he killed himself by drowning himself in the sea. After this, the children of Israel entered the temple and they rebuilt its gates. They purified it of its corpses and uncleanliness, and they made search for some pure olive oil. Here's the menorah. We talked about the Maccabees. Now, here's the menorah. They purified it of corpses and uncleanness, and they made search for some pure olive oil in order to light its lamp. But they could not find any olive oil. They could not find any olive oil except for a single flask which was sealed with the signet ring of the high priest during the time of the prophet Samuel. Watch this. They knew that this was pure. How did they know it was pure olive oil and holy for the temple, family?
Because they followed the instructions.
Which
It was
instructions?
sealed.
Hmm?
It was sealed. It was instructions from the oral tradition of the Torah.
Yes, there was a signet ring that sealed the bottles of the olive oil, and the high priest was the only one who was able to put his signet ring to show that this olive oil was pure. Okay. And so that's very, very interesting that the high priest or the Kohen Gadol high priest was the one that was able to do that. They knew that this was pure. There was in it an amount equivalent to about 1 day's burning. Here we go. But the God of heaven, who made his name dwell there, bestowed a blessing with it, and they lit the lamps from it for 8 days. All right. So again, this Jewish practice with 8 candles, it's not biblical. It's not in our oral tradition. It's not in the Megillat Antiochus, which is the only source that has, family, if someone is going to ask you, listen carefully, if someone asks you, where do you get the idea of burning the candlestick for 8 days? Because it's not in the Bible, where do you get it from? It's not in the book of Maccabees, where do you get it from? This is your source. The Megillat Antiochus is the only source that has the tradition of burning the 7 candlestick lampstand for 8 days. Okay. Therefore, the Hasmoneans swore this oath, and they and all the children of Israel took upon themselves this binding vow. Look at this. This is very interesting language right here. Therefore, the Hasmoneans swore this oath. Now, remember, the Hasmoneans were the family of priests. Okay. It says they swore this oath, and they and the children of Israel took it upon themselves this binding vow to inform the children of Israel to observe this 8 day as a time of celebration and ceremony. Somebody was asking, where is in Hanukkah? It doesn't tell you to celebrate Hanukkah. Well, here it is. The Megillat Antiochus is your source. Okay, this is where we get, because it's not in the Torah, it's not in the Tanakh. But watch this. Watch this. We find Yeshua. Come on and go with me here. In the book of John, chapter 10. And it was at Jerusalem, the Feast of Dedication, Chanukah. And it was winter. And Yeshua walked in to the temple to celebrate, family. To celebrate what? This binding vow to inform the children of Israel to observe this 8 days as a time of celebration and ceremony. My goodness. Like the days of the fest. Thank you. Like the days of the festivals which are inscribed in the Torah. Here's your source. Here's your source, the last paragraph of the Megillat Antiochus tells us this. Therefore, the Hasmoneans swore this oath. I want to read that again. And they and the children of Israel took upon themselves this binding vow to inform the children of Israel to observe this 8 day as a time of celebration and ceremony, like the days of the festivals or the feasts, which are inscribed in the Torah, are found in Leviticus chapter 23. Do you see what he's saying here? The light on them to indicate to whomever comes after them that their God, that he gives you the reason, family. He says the light, the reason for the menorah burning 8 days, he tells you, is to indicate to whomever comes after them and ask a question that their God effected deliverance for them from heaven. On them one must not mourn, nor may one decree a fast, but all who have vowed a vow on them must fulfill it. And then we have Yeshua HaMashiach coming and celebrating this vow that was given, therefore validating the practice of, watch this, Chanukah, and validating the Megillat Antiochus, where it all originated. You asked me for a source of where and why we celebrate Chanukah. Oh, it's not commanded in the Torah. It's not commanded in the Torah. It's not commanded in the Torah. Where do we get this from? We get it from the Megillat Antiochus, which is the only historical source. Now, by mind you, this is not a tertiary source. It could be a secondary or a primary source. Watch this. When was the Megillat Antiochus written? When was it written? Look at this.
Change screen.
Now you got to remember, the Megillat Antiochus, when it says it's been handed down, it was oral tradition. And from oral tradition, we have it written down. Okay, so we see here between the 2nd and 5th centuries, most likely in the 2nd century. The Hebrew version of this work dates back to the 7th century. Oh, that's just a copy of it. Okay. Now watch this. Hanukkah commemorates the historical events that took place in Jerusalem in the 2nd century BCE. when the Seleucid Greek Empire was the ruling power in 168 BC. King Antiochus IV Epiphanes outlawed Jewish practice or Israelite practices and defiled the Israelite temple in the city by installing an altar of Zeus, Olympius, and sacrificing pigs on the altar. Right, family. I'm going to do more research on when this was written to determine whether it's a primary, secondary, or tertiary. We know it's not a tertiary source. Could be secondary. But I'm going to nail down a date for when this was written. Any comments, questions, concerns? I know we went a long time tonight, about an hour and a half. Any comments, questions, concerns, blessings?
Blessings.
Blessings, family. Blessings, family. We'll see you Thursday night. Shalom to each and every one of you, to your family.
And
Lila Tov. Shalom. Blessings.